All right, so back again. We're gonna try to figure out how to make bagels. So I'm following a recipe that a friend of mine has used online, from online. I can post that whenever we get the video worked out. But what I see, let's see. So I'm supposed to start with 2 cups of sourdough starter. I actually have no idea if that's the correct amount, but we're gonna go with it, and assume that it's pretty close. So this recipe is 2 cups of sourdough starter plus, and then they ask for 2 teaspoons of salt. So that's 1 and 2. 2 teaspoons of salt, and then a tablespoon of olive oil. So we'll do a tablespoon of olive oil. All right, that might be a little bit much, but that'll be okay. These are gonna be delicious. Tablespoon of olive oil. Now, here's where the hard part, maybe pain in the ass, comes in. 5.5 cups of flour. So I went ahead and measured that out in advance. That's 5.5 cups of flour. So here goes. Really seems like an awful lot of flour. But, oh, I forgot one more thing. Also 10 ounces of water. Haha, yeah, otherwise that'd be insane. So, let's see. 10 ounces of water. That's 8 ounces right here. And 2 more. And 2 more ounces, so that's 10 ounces. And now, here's the thing that's gonna be a pain, probably. This recipe calls for having a dough hook, like a KitchenAid with a dough hook. I don't have one of those. So I'm going to do this the old-fashioned way. I'm going to knead these by hand. Or I'm going to try to anyway. Let's see. You're supposed to use the dough hook for 7 to 8 minutes. So we'll knead for, I don't know, 7, 8, 10 minutes, something like that, until we get a consistency that feels about right. So I'm going to start in the bowl. I might move it down to the cutting board below. I haven't figured that out yet. I don't tend to do a lot of kneading. First thing first, mix it up. All right, it's slowly starting to become dough. Oh, look at that. Huh. Wonder what that was. Well, all right. I think this is going to be a messy one. We'll see. Yes, I washed my hands quite thoroughly before doing this. Oh, look at that. That's that olive oil. That probably needs to spread out a little more. All right, future mental note. Maybe do a little bit of mixing in advance. Well, I will say this is it's a little stickier than I expected. But I expected that'll come back down. Yeah. We're definitely gonna move this out of this bowl. Try and scrape as much of what's in here out as possible so we don't miss out on any of the goodness. The funny thing is the dough is actually not that sticky. It's just the remnants from what stuck early on. So if I had done this better, well, we'll see. I'm learning. Also, this recipe, yeah, I think I said that recipe calls for all-purpose flour, and all I've got is bread flour, so we'll see. It might be a little extra sticky and extra chewy. That's probably a good thing as far as bagels go. But, yeah. All right, let's make sure that we get as much of this bowl as possible. So, and I don't fully understand the chemistry of this, and you can read about it if you're interested, but kneading bread somehow activates the gluten molecules, makes them all like stick together, and makes for all the chewy, delicious goodness that is for bread. Let's see. That's most of that out of the bowl. So this is supposed to pass the window pane test, which I just learned about today. I don't know if that's a real thing or not, but it has to do with like you pull off some dough and you like separate it out. You pull on it and you stretch it. And what you're looking for is for the dough to be super, super thin, like you're pulling it across a window pane without tearing, which is what this is not ready to do yet. And that's okay. I think this is going to make a lot of bagels. My friend says she typically does like 8 to 10 bagels with the recipe. This recipe, the online one says 14 to 16, but my friend says she likes slightly larger bagels than what they were talking about. So we'll see what happens. We'll make bagels that look like they're supposed to be bagel sized tomorrow. Let's see if we can get a little bit more of that flour to get incorporated into the dough. Part of the reason I'm doing this is one of the criteria is when the dough pulls away from the mixing bowl. And well, when it pulls itself away from the mixing bowl, it should be good to go. I'll start getting there. Pretty good. All right. Let's put that a little bit further away. Let's see, we've been at this for, I don't know, 5 minutes, maybe 6 minutes. If you've got a smooth counter, you can just clean your counter really well and use it. But this counter is made from tiles, so the grout in between is kind of less than ideal for this kind of task. But that's okay. Cutting board works. All right, let's see what happens if we try to rip some more off and see if it'll do the window pane test. So, got a little piece of the dough. And it's not pulling back in on itself quite as much as I want it to, so I'm gonna keep kneading it. Yeah, it's starting to tear. There. All right, well, more kneading. If anybody's looking for workouts to do while they're at home kneading bread, definitely takes some energy. I also have a little bit of suspicion that maybe there's not quite enough flour in here because I think I had a little bit more than 2 cups of starter. Of course, what the ratio on that starter is from the one on the website, I don't know. All right, let's see. I don't know, it's a little bit teary, a little bit there. I don't know. Give it a couple more minutes. All right. I think that's feeling pretty good. I'm gonna call this done. Now, the next thing that we're supposed to do is let this rest overnight, or rise overnight. And we're supposed to do it into a well-oiled bowl. Since I happen to have an extra one around, you can do it back in the same bowl that you've been mixing it in. That will work just fine. Or I'm gonna have a spare one, so I'm going to oil this. And let's see. I don't really know exactly what a well-oiled bowl means, but we'll pour some oil in. Spread it around. More than that is definitely well-oiled. If I were doing this again, I might do this with butter instead of olive oil, or maybe something like coconut oil that's a little bit more solid at room temperature. Might make it a little bit, stick to the sides a little bit better. But, all right, that's a well oiled. And then we will, I don't know if I'm supposed to do that or not, but yeah, why not? Adding a little bit of oil to a dough can't seem to hurt it, right? All right, cool. And then the goal is to cover it and let it sit overnight. So I'll see you all in the morning.